Today on Alley Picked, I get out of my garage and hit the road to a small town in southern Illinois called Arthur, about 3 hours south of Chicago. There's over 4,000 Amish people living in and around Arthur. We'll visit the Mennonite relief sale, stop at the largest antique store in the area. We'll visit with a man who ended up moving to this small town Arthur after a career as a lifelong performer and artist. I'll show you the biggest restaurant in town, and we'll stop at an Amish grocery store in this amazing small town. If you like beautiful Amish furniture, auctions, great food, and amazing donuts,
no man should be so poor he cannot pay for a donut,
then the Arthur Mennonite Relief Sale is just what you're looking for. I arrive on a Friday evening, first day of a 2-day event. This tradition began in Arthur in 1962. As I look for a place to park in this field, I have to wait for this trainload of kids to pass as they're getting a fun ride around the property in this makeshift train made from garbage cans. Now that's my kind of train. On the way in, I see many children at a petting zoo. As I enter the auto center this Friday evening, you can hear the auction already in progress. They're going to auction off everything from food to furniture. As a furniture guy myself, I've always appreciated the Amish quality. All of the drawers have dovetail joints, a nice smooth finish, and glide with ease. They sell all kinds of great food, desserts, and bakery goods. However, there's one thing in particular that's worth driving hundreds of miles for: Relief Sale donuts. These are the best donuts you will ever taste. Now, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to eat my donut in front of you, licking the icing off my lips and saying, at every bite. All I'm going to say is that these donuts are so good that it takes extraordinary superpowers to stop at just one. It's time to turn the page and head to the next stop on our tour of Arthur. So this is the main street that runs through downtown Arthur. The one shop I always visit when I come is the Buggy Wheel. It's one of the biggest antique shops in these parts. It's really cool. Let's go check it out. The most difficult part in getting to the antique shop is the temptation to stop along the way for some delicious treats. But once you do make it, you're greeted with horseshoe flowers, large chickens, antiques, and other metal sculptures. This is all before you even step into the store. Once inside, you're greeted with booth after booth of antiques, license plate creations, primitive pottery, tools, anvils, old farm equipment, crates, old soap boxes, oil cans, everything you can imagine, and many things you've never seen before. I don't usually buy antiques from stores. I'd rather pick my supplies from an alley or dumpster rather than pay retail price, but they are fun to look at. My next stop was a fine art gallery, not necessarily something you would expect to see in a small town like Arthur. Inside, we're going to meet the owner and artist himself, Mr. Jerry Winters. If his artwork looks familiar, you've probably seen a lot of these images on puzzle boxes. Mr. Winters also created a very famous logo you've all seen before. Here's Mr. Winters back in the day when he shared the same stage with Perry Como and Bob Hope. I had the great privilege to interview Mr. Winters, and he was even kind enough to play a tune on his Steinway piano for us to hear. I'm going to include a short clip of that here, but at the end of the video, I'm going to have some bonus content which includes my full interview with Mr. Jerry Winters.
So I spent literally almost 70 years performing around the world, and I did over 40 shows with the USO. Guam, I did all the biggies. Wake, on to Thailand, Formosa, and then of course the airdrops in Vietnam. And if you remember Mr. C, Perry Como, I got to open for him on a fluke for 2 runs on the QE2 in those years. Now it's in dry dock, but most everybody I worked with is no longer walking around. And Mr. George Jessel, of course, and these people. And when we decided to retire from California, we lived in Pebble Beach, right next door to Mr. Clint Eastwood, and of course he's our mayor, and our boys were born 10 minutes apart at the hospital, and Kyle, who's a great actor, Kyle Eastwood, and my son Kevin were best buddies all the way through school. And my late wife, who was born back here, dragged me back here kicking and screaming all the way, saying we ought to retire back here because I was born back here and grandkids and so forth. And then I'm still mad at her, she left me with COVID. And I lost her 2 years ago back here. If it wasn't for my faith, I don't know how I would have gotten through all of that. But anyway, I kind of picked up the pieces last year and took the store back over. She was the business lady, so I had to take over that part of it. And I have my Steinway piano in here.
Well, you're awesome. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Can we hear you?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Just for a second.
Yeah, we'll do it real quick then.
She wants to make sure. Yeah. Top the piano.
We're going to do something improvisational. Is that all right?
Okay.
Well, the second I saw you all, I knew. I said to myself, I could tell at a glance that it isn't by chance that you're here in Arthur where you are. Oh, this morning I woke with a lark, and the orchestra does this. That's a lark. You want 2 larks? I'll give you 2 larks. We were both of us singing away, and what's your first name?
Kathy.
Kathy. The sky was so blue, I instinctively knew, oh yes, I was in for a wonderful day. As I told you before, I was terribly tempted to say. Now you recognize it. On a wonderful day like today, I defy any cloud to appear in my sky. I dare any raindrop to plop in my eye. Oh, it's a wonderful day like today. On a beautiful afternoon like this. You know, the sky, the sun's as big as a yellow balloon. Even the seagulls are singing a tune. I made that up. On a wonderful afternoon like this. On an afternoon like this, I could kiss everybody. I'm so full of love and goodwill. And furthermore, may I state, I'd adore everybody. Just come and dine. Go to Yoder's out here. It's wonderful. The pleasure is mine. This guy's sitting here with the camera. We'll pay the bill. I'll take this occasion to say the whole human race ought to be down on their knees. That's where they ought to be. And stop watching the telly all the time, hearing the bad news, the bad news, the bad news. Pardon my front over here. The whole thing is, I don't believe in luck. I do not believe in accidental meetings, and I do not believe that we all kind of found each other in here in the last few minutes and having a good time at it. But I want you to know that I'm glad that you came in. 'Cause the world's in a wonderful way. Now this is where the chorus comes in. And they say, wonderful, 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 wonderful. It's a beautiful day. Like today, it's been a wonderful day. And God bless you all. That's it.
This impromptu visit was one I'll never forget. I could have stayed for hours talking with Mr. Winters, but it's time to move on and show you some more of Arthur. Just south of downtown Arthur is a very nice restaurant called Yoder's Kitchen. They have a great gift shop, bakery goods, which are almost all sold out by mid-afternoon. They have large banquet rooms for parties, great tasting food at the buffet, and plenty of room for dining. It's just a great place to eat, and it really is a destination location. Now we're heading to a fantastic Amish grocery store. You're driving down these backcountry roads and suddenly you come upon Beachy's Bulk Foods. The lights you see in the ceiling are skylights. They diffuse the sunlight into radiant light, filling the whole building. They have great prices on their large selection of bulk goods, dairy, spices, bakery goods, whoopie pies, sandwiches. Oh, and check out this bottle of water, 49 cents. That's what water is supposed to cost. It's water! What I mainly come for are there to die for, single-serve apple pies. There are many other restaurants, gift shops, coffee shops, hardware stores, and festivals in Arthur. I didn't even mention the Pumpkin Patch, the Cheese Festival, or the Amish Museum and Heritage Center. There's just not enough time to show you them all. You'll just have to come to Arthur and check it out for yourself.
There's nothing quite like spending the day in Arthur, Illinois, where life just puts on the brakes. People care for one another, and they actually talk to each other. And they make some great apple pies. Thanks for watching Alley Picked on the Road.
Well, I appreciate you doing this, first of all. This is nice.
Hi.
And your gallery here. How long have you been here?
This next week is my 4th year.
4th year. Okay, well,
And we've had the biggest year that we've ever had this year.
for those of the viewers who don't know who you are, you've met a lot of famous people. You've lived around the world. You've lived in California. You know a lot of movie stars. You played with Bob Hope.
Yeah.
So brag a little.
On me or Bob Hope? He doesn't need to brag. Well, I spent my life since I was very young, 7 years old, performing. I did about, I don't know how many years on Broadway. I did, thanks to my mentor, who you probably have heard of the show. Let's see, we did 5 shows: Stop the World, I Want to Get Off, Roar, The Grease Paint Smell of the Crowd. But anyway, Joel Gray was my mentor. And we had the best time, and I got to play Europe a lot. My father was in the business. He was very famous in the business. If your people are old enough to remember Red Nichols and the 5 Pennies, that was my dad. And they did a documentary on him when he passed. But my brothers and I were all musicians. We had to take tap, ballet. We had to take voice, acting. I did some opera for a while, and so I spent literally almost 70 years performing around the world, and I did over 40 shows with the USO, Guam. I did all the biggies: Wake, on to Thailand, Formosa, and then of course the airdrops in Vietnam, Kubi Point, Kubi Bay, the burn wards in Tokyo.
So how did the show go? You were with Bob Hope?
Yeah, and I did. We were trying to do. We did whatever jobs were available through the agency, and if you remember Mr. C, Perry Como, I got to open for him on a fluke for 2 runs on the QE2 in those years. Now it's in dry dock, but London. We only had to do 4 shows the whole way, but they took good care of us. So I did stand up to introduce him and bring him in, and my love is, of course, the VA. And I have many, many wonderful memories, and most everybody I worked with is no longer walking around, and Mr. George Jessel, of course, and these people. And when we decided to retire from California, we lived in Pebble Beach, right next door to Mr. Clint Eastwood, and of course he's our mayor, and our boys were born 10 minutes apart at the hospital, and Kyle, who's a great actor, Kyle Eastwood, and my son Kevin were best buddies all the way through school. They're in Carmel by the Sea, California, and Pebble Beach, of course, were our home base. And my late wife, who was born back here, dragged me back here kicking and screaming all the way, saying we ought to retire back here because I was born back here, and grandkids and so forth. And then I'm still mad at her, she left me with COVID, and I lost her 2 years ago back here, not knowing a soul. And I had 4 poodles, little poodles, to deal with, and I went into depression, and if it wasn't for my faith, I don't know how I would have gotten through all of that. But anyway, I kind of picked up the pieces last year and took the store back over. She was the business lady, so I had to take over that part of it. And I have my Steinway piano in here, and we do fun stuff with the people that come to buy the art. We were in the art business in Carmel for over 50 years.
You should play something real quick.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. Absolutely.
Before I do that, let me just get some B-roll of like your socks, because this is a business. Hey, tell me about your socks.
Well, these particular pair are glow in the dark, but I came up with the idea to do the hot socks here, and because of my love for the VA and for the Paralyzed Veterans of America and several other areas, the funds go to those people. And I have over 250 varieties. The kids love them. The good old Brian Kilmeade there on Fox News, he was great. The guys sit around in the morning in their suits and flash their hot socks and play the games, and so that was great fun. So I put in over 250 varieties in the store here, which you can buy online if you get hold of some of the manufacturers, because they all did not want to do what I did, because I'm giving the funds to the VA, but they weren't interested, particularly because of board of directors and things like that. So I said, okay, I'll do it myself, and I got some free publicity from all those agencies, and they're sending their people, and we've got 12 churches in town. I got the pastors wearing them. I have some of the farmers with hot socks on now. The kids come in from the high school, they each buy a different pair. Their boyfriend and girlfriend, they switch one of the socks. That's a big deal nowadays. And so I'm content. I had somebody call me the other day, Jerry, with the world situation, where are you? And I said, I'm in Arthur. And they say, who is Arthur? And I tell them, I love it here. And I've sold France, my gallery there, and last fall. And so these people have fed me and taken care of me and taken me into their wing. And so I'm playing a church service Sunday morning. You better come and see that. And down at the Vine Street Church here on Vine Street, yeah.
Fantastic.
And so anyway, I'm glad you came in. It's been a treat meeting you and visiting with you. And welcome to the world of the art, which I started when I was a little kid backstage. My mom tried to keep us all quiet while Dad was on stage, and she had us doing paint by numbers in those days, and now it's gone from paint by numbers to I'm in the Naive Museum of Fine Art in France with 2 pieces, and on top of that, I'm the only American in there, so I was proud to have that.
One more thing, where would we see some of your art? You mentioned some.
Everything you're looking at here. On these tables, we're getting ready for the big festival this weekend coming up. My originals are toward the back on the left, and then I also have maybe 20 some artists that are deceased now that showed in my gallery in Carmel for 30, 40 years, and my own collection's on exhibit here too.
And where would we see your work? Maybe more common places, famous, like I think you said you did raisins.
All you have to do is go to your cupboard and pick up a raisin box. It says California Sun-made raisins on them. I did that for them 40 some years ago. And then they started producing me in some puzzles and calendars and that sort of thing. And then the piece that's sitting right there from Producer's Dairy, that is of California, the largest dairy in California. They own the originals, and then these are your clays. But I do have originals available toward the back here. They're a visit when life was simpler, before cell phones and before computers and before Clint.
So that's the memory you like to leave with people is the simple life?
Yeah, I had a grandson call me the other day from California and said, Grandpa, when are you coming back? And I said, I don't think so.
Back where?
California. I said, I'm in a bubble here. I couldn't ever believe it existed. I don't want to tell the world that the keys are still in the cars around here. You don't want to know about that. People that aren't even churched here are people of integrity, and they've got time for you. And they welcome me into the community. I've gained so much weight since I'm here, I can't stand it, and I haven't cooked in a year and a half. And so I've jumped into the shop, and every day is a treat. People come from all over the world just to see the Amish community, and they're beautiful people here.